So actually, Indian economy is operating at multi-speed. There are parts of the economy that have clocked better numbers than pre-COVID, and then the rest of the economy is struggling. Fortunately, we are out of the severe lockdowns that we saw through April and May, gradual opening starting from June, and other than very isolated containment zones, there are no large scale restrictions in terms of movement of goods, people. And I think that's kind of helping for the economy to limp along. The focus of the investors clearly in our conference is much more on what India sees over the next 12 to 18 months. As you know, investors normally have already factored in the abysmal GDP contraction that we saw in the first quarter. And now it's much more about India's trajectory in 21 and beyond.
Okay, so with that long-term horizon in mind, I mean, what are investors most excited about in terms of the potential that India holds across various sectors?
So certainly there is a lot of interest in consumption. India, as you know, also needs massive investments, not just in infrastructure, but more recently, the government has come up with a blueprint on how India can get some of its manufacturing muscle back. I'm reminded almost of my, 30 years ago in my career, when we actually talked about new industrial capacities being planned. I hadn't heard that in the last 25 years. And now suddenly you're seeing some excitement driven both by MNCs and some of the local companies in wanting to look at plans to see how India can actually play its role in the global manufacturing supply chain. Early days yet, so I don't want to set hopes up, but I do believe that if this trend continues, it'll really give another great pull, as it were, to the manufacturing sector.
Kalpana, you're right, because India has been touted to be the next factory of the world. And obviously, from what you're saying, I mean, there are measures being put in place to make sure it happens. But in terms of recovery from COVID, before we get to that place, how do you see the recovery, at what pace, and how soon can India recover from this pandemic?
So I think in the most optimistic view, we would probably see output levels getting back to pre-COVID level in the first quarter of 21, more likely the second quarter of 21. But as I said, there are parts of the economy, take personal transportation, which particularly for scooters and motorcycles, that has seen double-digit growth in some months. However, there are several other sectors, and these are sectors that have been impacted the world around: tourism, travel, etc. They're not going to see any increase in the foreseeable future until you get a vaccine. We watch what happens with the vaccine over the next 6 months, and that's the only thing that will make people comfortable to move out and travel as they used to pre-COVID.